Revolutionary salutations, dear comrades. Thank you to attend our first Facebook group with Activista then do the same. So a person perhaps give you the African chapter, maybe the Secretary General Government Club more big background.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good morning. The background of African democracy, elections, and governance. Elections and governance was created by African Union in 2007 as a roadmap to encourage better governance across international good governance and democracy in such areas of rule of law, fair elections, and constitutional changes of government are using the Charter as difficult transition, more relied on its principles to negotiate a return to constitutional order after 2000. But other countries have had difficulties. Was more than charter, and yet for 10 out of the 40 constitutional and democratic governments, such as in Mali and Guinea-Bissau, since the charter was created, countries that ratified the charter agreed to have the representative systems of government powers between the branches. Ensure democratic rule and through free, fair, and transparent elections. Respect ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity. Activista Zimbabwe and its partners seek to build the skills, knowledge of citizens to be able to advocate for free, fair, and credible elections. Outlined in the Charter on African Charter on Governance, Elections, Democracy. The aim is to empower young people with skills to mobilize, to demand the implementation of ASTIC as a form to take us through a statement on
thank you, Angela. In Zimbabwe, especially, they make almost work internationally. Rich, it applies mostly one else can charter governance comes a necessity, especially in of young people, activists, a network which we call ourselves Activista Zimbabwe. We stand in solidarity with the African governance architecture. That the effective participation on youth, on democracy, with a focus on democracy and governance. Now, though the number of participants is increasing due to young, the atmosphere is not nice. And we realize that this child pick anything up. It's said policy maker why Zimbabwe is fight on democracy. And consider here in Zimbabwe, we are integrity, ceaseless pursuit. This clearly ensure democracy as a nation. Now, the African Charter on elections and governance, it speaks a lot on youth and governance as a means to accelerate and catalyzation as envisaged by the Agenda 2063 of the African Union. This chapter of democracy, a culture of peace. It speaks in cases where institutional our government. So, and above all, it speaks about the political governance, which is key to us young people, which is key to youth leadership, which is key to sustain. Now in Zimbabwe, this charter for us to have a chance at democracy by legal and mechanisms for application of the democratic principles that we want to reach. So now, as young people across Zimbabwe, represented by Activista Zimbabwe, rating the continental definition of democratic processes, domestication of this and our policy framework. Therefore, we call up the election for a stand, but to commit to ensure the implementation of the principles, the objectives, and the core values enshrined in the other elections and governance. So we urge the civil society at large to take into consideration sustainability of their efforts and pursue the interests of the Charter. And we also call upon the government to rectify, to enforce, and to report on the implementation of this African Charter on democracy, elections, and governance. And considering the events that are unfolding as we speak in our country, Zimbabwe, we welcome the appointment of Justice Priscilla Chikomba as the ZEC chairperson, and we hope that she continues in the level of professionalism that she has been displaying. And we are pushing this campaign to domesticate the African Charter on democratic governance. We are domesticated. Hashtag A. Thank you. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, comrades. I think the leadership may be given an insight or insight on what African Charter is all about. So this moment in time, I give maybe to the floor if there are any questions. Yes, comrade.
On her presentation, she stated that they will try to reach as much as you can to the how intend to decentralize this attempt to the rural communities in the whole of Zimbabwe.
All right. Activista Zimbabwe is a structure, has structures across the country. We are an organization, not an organization per se, but a movement of young people that is represented in all provinces and in all districts. So as Activista Zimbabwe, we plan to try information about the Charter because we recognize that there is need for young people to know more about these charters and these regional frameworks for them to push the necessary of our provincial coordinators through our district coordinators. Is not ending with the press. It's actually in a mean transparency. I hope you answered.
Any questions, suggestions? Yes, ma'am.
In the youth and democracy issues towards the elections, how do you like have specific programs and time frame likely to have elections in the next 5 months? Those kind of things in place that you can make sure to come election time, your youth know what to do, they're enlightened, stuff like that.
Yes, we do have specific programs that we have set forth to try and achieve probably before the mentioned 5 months. Towards February and March, there is going to be a program people in the so that we train them, we help them discover that this charter, so also translating it to our local languages and make one understand it means to instruments in their head when government to rectify or sign it talking about. So we have plans to disseminate information about the charter and understandable and as we are doing.
I was about to ask that, considering the fact that the charter is in Arabic, Portuguese, English, and what so that it is into our citizens in Zimbabwe, the process of dating, and I'm already answered. Thank you.
Here you have Zimbabwe instigating whatever they're saying. What's your drive, your vision that you put over there? Well, with that, if Zimbabwe, where do you see this link? Where do you see Zimbabwe, being able to bring you to your vision with the ratification? I want to see the link where we're saying that.
You are talking about part of the tenets of democracy involve us achieving this that we are fighting. And in you achieving your human rights, political rights, you are to equal opportunities economically and socially. In turn, with time, it goes a long way in the trying to eradicate extreme poverty. We are looking at the young person as he or she is today, looking at the young vendor and all the other demographic groups of youth that we have. And we discover that in the long run, if we don't have democratic processes, if that young person has nothing to say about how their nation is being governed, then they are in no position to talk about the price of bread. At the end of the day, politics goes down to the price of bread. So the link is there, but it starts to say we need democratic processes, we need to have a say in the governance of our nation. And in turn, we are going to achieve other unity as well, and this includes economic rights.
Okay, maybe 2 or 3 last questions. Any questions?
Sorry.
Yes.
So let's assume government signs. So what does it mean for? Because signing is one thing, and then what is the plan?
All right. If you had heard the last statement of my presser, I said we call upon the government to sign, to ratify, to enforce and report on the implementation of the charter, which means we are not just calling for the government to just sign the document. It is not good enough. And we know that in a way or the other, we have a lot of very flowery documents that are sitting in our government office that have not been implemented. But by making sure that young people know about this charter, if the government signs and rectifies this charter, it will ensure that the young person will hold the government accountable, and they can actually demand and be at a position to seek legal action towards the implementation of the charter. So we want to ensure that the charter is implemented fully and reported upon by the government.
And also maybe to add on, I think it is shrined also in chapter 11 of the charter, that if the government signs and is not able to implement, then the African Union, which is the pillar or demagogue of the charter, will put the government into accountability. So meaning that now we'll be having a certain board that will make sure that the government is transparent to its people.
Yes. But then you sort of answered my question, because my question was the answer that you gave. Mine was a follow-up question on, so the trust of Activista Zimbabwe, this time is, the trust is entirely based on the fact the government has to sign and to do the work. From the way I understood it, was just to push them to do it while we sit back and watch them try to implement. But then from what you said, I understand, from what Mr. Funia said, I understand that there's a framework from a body that's above the government itself to hold them accountable to the actual work on the ground. So in that regard, I think I'm answered.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay. Thank you, comrades, for attending our press conference.